You.
Hi everyone, welcome to our Q&A. Today we have my good friend Mickeeley here. She is an expert in human design. Welcome, Mickeeley.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This is something that I just genuinely love talking about.
So to get started, I know a few of the ladies in the community are very new to human design. So if you could just kind of give us a brief overview of what human design is, and then what got you inspired to begin to study it.
Yeah, so human design for me is the ultimate self-discovery modality. And it is literally a blueprint of your soul, of your energetics, and it creates massive awareness. And it actually combines a lot of ancient systems like the chakra system, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, but it also merges those with quantum physics. So it's really cool to see how like modern science plays a role in this and in our energetics. And so human design, I honestly don't even remember the first time that I heard of human design, but it was 2020 when I started deep diving, like middle of quarantine, going crazy, needed to investigate something, to learn something, which makes sense with my human design. Um and after research for a while, I decided to get a human design reading done for me, and I paid for that, set it up, and then as I went through the reading, I realized that I already knew everything that she told me. I had it all by myself. And so I wanted to start learning more and branching out. So I pulled my part, I pulled my kids, my in laws, like all of the friends. I remember posting on Facebook, like, hey, if you want to know your human design chart, like, just send me a message with your birth information and I'll just pull it for you. And I did that for a long time. And that really helped me learn the different types and strategies and authorities and centers and all of the things. And then I was like, this has really impacted my life. Like when we start talking about the different types and decision making authorities, maybe some of you will have someone who's like, oh, that's why I do what I do. And that's how it felt for me. It felt like it gave me language to who I am when I didn't know how to express that. And it just really made me feel more confident in myself, more sure of myself. And I've done countless human design readings now. And it's so interesting to see how many people have that same, like, oh, this is who I am. Like, why am I fighting this? Right. And in human design, we get into talks of conditioning and deconditioning. And so you can go really, really, really deep with human design, or you can just learn it and say, okay, that's cool, and then continue on. Like, totally up to you. Human design is an experiment that you get to play with and see how it best suits you. So, I know some people are very new to human design. I put in the chat, if you want to pull your chart, you just need to know your date of birth, your time of birth, and your place of birth. Now, a lot of people are like a little iffy on their time. The time is important just because even like 5 to 10 minutes off can change your centers, which can change your entire chart. So if you can get your birth certificate or, things like that, that would be the most beneficial. And I also dropped some cheat sheets. So as we talk about the types and the authorities, I know some people are more visual, so you can get that downloadable and go to your type and authority and really start playing with it. So, do you want me to just dive right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Okay, we have a manifesting generator. Do you remember what yours is, Heather?
I
What your
am
type
a
is?
generator.
Okay, cool. So I'm a manifesting generator as well. So lots of generator energy. Um, so I'll go through all of the types briefly, and then if something kind of resonates or if you want clarity on something, just ask and we'll dive into it. So, starting with manifestors, manifestors are here to initiate, to inspire. They are in alignment when they feel peace, and they're in misalignment, they're in their shadow when they feel anger. And it's really important for manifestors to inform, to keep people in the loop, because they have this closed aura that can make it hard for people to read them, make it hard for people to feel like they're connecting with them. So if you are a manifestor, it's really important to have that communication and really be open to sharing your perspective and what you're up to. If you're a generator, you are here to be this powerhouse of energy for what you love, right? And so it's important as a generator to find what you're doing that really lights you up and keeps driving you forward, but also recognizing what is draining the life out of you and figuring out a way to eliminate and release those things. So, as a generator, you have this very open and warm and nurturing aura, and that's what draws people to you. They want to come up to you and they want to get help from you, but it's really important to make sure that you're using your strategy of responding and whatever your unique authority is to determine where to apply your energy. Because if you're doing things that you don't really love, you're just going to burn out and you're going to feel not self, your shadow, which is frustration. And so if you're feeling frustrated, that's your red flag to step back and say, what is going on? Why am I feeling frustration? And then pivot. Because as a generator, you want to feel satisfied. And as a generator and a manifesting generator, which we're going to get into next, when you are feeling satisfied, like that satisfaction is so much better than even like the best you've ever had in your life. Like it just feels so full, so content, and you know you're in your zone. And manifesting generators are a hybrid between manifestors and generators, hence the name manifesting generator. And they're also meant to feel satisfied. They're meant to do the things that really light them up, but they pull from both manifestors and generators. So doing what you love, using that sacral energy, allowing your sacral, your gut to really drive you forward and provide those nudges. But you're also here to inspire others. You're here to take action and to do all the different things. And with manifesting generators, a lot of times we can have conditioning of, oh, we're wishy-washy. We have our hands in too many pots. But that's how we're meant to be. As manifesting generators, we're multi-passionate. Like even with myself as an example, I am a human design reader. I'm a breathwork facilitator. I love doing oracle card readings. I'm an aromatherapist. And all of these things can be their own unique thing. But for me and who I am in my life path, they merge to create this beautiful blend of who I am. And that was the biggest, like, oh, okay, I'm not wishy-washy. I'm not inconsistent. Like, this is truly how I'm designed to live. So being here to use your sacral, your life force energy to do what you love is going to bring you that satisfaction. And just like the generator, when you're feeling frustrated, that's your shadow. That's your red flag to step back, evolve, pivot, and keep going with what you love. Now, the next one is projectors, which are kind of like the wise old souls. They're here to be focused, to be wise, and to help guide others into making their life better, make their life more efficient. And this is not to say that the other types can't do this, but generators just have like this old soul energy to them when they're living in their lightest expression, when they're feeling success, when they are connected and working on deconditioning and living their truth. So if you're a projector, your light expression is success. That's what you're meant to feel when you're living in alignment. But your shadow is bitterness. And when projectors feel bitter, they feel it. And a lot of times when projectors feel bitter, it's because they're taking initiative and putting their advice where it's not meant to be, right? Because as projectors, you want to help people, you want to help guide people, but it's really important to listen to your strategy of waiting for the invitation to share your wisdom. This doesn't mean that you have to sit back and wait for life to happen for you. But say if I was a projector, right, and someone was complaining because they're just not living authentically, I could tell that they're very much in their shadow, and I just go and say like, hey, well, why don't you do this, that, and the third? They're going to be put off by that more than likely. And they're going to say, I didn't ask for your opinion. I didn't ask for your help. And that in return is going to make you feel bitter because you're like, well, I'm just trying to help you. It's not my problem that you're not taking this help. So it's really about waiting for people to ask for your wisdom. And then once they give you that invitation, you can nerd out, you can geek out, you can give them all the things, you can help them in whatever way feels good to you. And this type is super, super rare. So I will be shocked if anyone here is a reflector because they only make up 1% of the population. But reflectors are completely open. All of their centers are open, and they are really here to take in the energy and kind of act as a gauge to see how healthy is this environment? How healthy is this community that I'm in? And be able to help move the collective forward by seeing where things need to be shifted, where things need to grow and evolve. And as a reflector, a big theme here is to just take in the energy, wait, and process it. So if you are a reflector, your strategy and your authority is to wait a lunar cycle, to wait that full 28 and a half days before taking big action, before making big decisions, because you really need the time to take that energy in and process it and fully reflect on it. So as a reflector, when you're living in alignment, you're feeling surprised because you're taking in these different energies, you're being open and aware of them. But in the shadow, you're also feeling disappointment because you're trying to change things too fast, because you are in the wrong groups of people, in the wrong environments than what you're meant to be in. So you're gonna feel disappointed when you're around those types of people that are not in alignment with you. So that is a quick overview of the types. Does anyone have any questions about their type before we go into the authorities? If you do, just pop them in the chat, come off mute, whatever is easiest.
I think Katie shook her head no, right?
Okay, cool. And if you do, just let me say, you can always message me on Instagram or Facebook Messenger. I love to talk about this. Do you know your authority, either one of you? Emotional, solar plexus,
The inner authority.
sacral. Mm-hmm.
Mine is sacral.
Sacral.
I
Okay.
think mine is
Do you know
sacral
yours,
too.
Kate?
I think sacral. I'm gonna
Sacral.
check that.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. So I'm also sacral. There are 8 different authorities, so I'll just talk about the main 3 that most people have, and then if someone does have a different one and you want to dive deeper, we can do that just so we're not taking up so much time. So the first one is emotional, or it might say solar plexus. This means that you are truly meant to make decisions based on your emotions. If it makes you happy, do it. If it's not going to make you happy, don't do it. But the key here is to let your emotions be your wisdom and give your time. When you have emotional authority, a solar plexus authority, you really need to wait 24 hours before you make a decision. But sometimes that can take up to a week. And in the cheat sheets, it has a step-by-step process to help you really get comfortable making decisions. Now, sacral, this is where I'll talk the most since we are sacral, other people are sacral. Sacral comes from your gut. It comes from that sacral center where your love force comes from. And so with sacral authorities, we are meant to make decisions in the moment. And maybe you can think of a time where maybe you were offered a job or you were invited to go to an event and like you just had like that dread, where like the energy just feels like it drains from you. That's your gut saying, nope, that is not what we're doing. This is not in alignment for us. And that's where your ego comes in and says, oh, but we can make so many new connections at this event. We could do this, we could do that. But if your gut is saying no, if it feels exhausting to you, listen to that. Now, on the flip side, if someone invites you to an event and you feel really lit up, really energized, like your skin is just tingling, that's a yes, right? And don't let your ego try to talk you out of it. Well, we can afford it. Well, I'm gonna have to find a babysitter. Who cares? Who cares? You'll figure it out. If your gut is saying yes, everything else will work out. Trust me, I have spent tens of thousands of dollars going to retreats and events and never knew how I was going to make it work, but I honored that sacral. And now, and obviously, like, you know, you got to do what you got to do in terms of like your own financial situation. But I'm just saying that when you listen to that gut and you follow it, things just click into place for you. And that's all about the human design experiment, is seeing how it feels to you. Some people with sacral, they can hear their gut, right? So, that's your gut literally communicating to you, but we've been conditioned to not make noises because that's rude or that's not good manners, right? So if you're feeling excitement, it's a yes. If you're feeling dread, it's a no. And with sacral, the phrase that I tell everyone, it's either a hell yes or a hell no. If you don't feel like it's a hell yes, I want this, then it's not doing it for you. Like, it's not worth your time and energy. Okay, and then the other one that I want to talk about that's the most common is the splenic. So like the sacral, this is an immediate response, and it comes from your intuition. And so obviously your intuition, everyone feels this differently. Some people hear things, some people can smell, like when it's a yes, they smell like this really sweet or floral. When it's a no, it smells like trash, it stinks, they don't like it. Some people hear it, see it, just get that inner knowing. So if you have splenic, my biggest advice is to just be aware. Just open yourself up and see how you experience your intuition, especially if you think you don't have an intuition, because we all do, right? And if you have a splenic authority, that's your strongest gift, the strongest center that you have to find, and you can't consistently tap into that. You just have to open up to it. Okay, correction, solar plexus. Okay, cool. So I'll go back and talk about that a little bit deeper if you want me to. But with the splenic, it's all about, does it feel good in your body or does it not? Like, listening to what God, spirit, source, whatever you resonate with is really communicating with you, and then just trusting that. So going back to the emotional, if you think about emotional, like throwing a pebble or a rock into a lake, there's ripples, right? And if you have this solar plexus, your solar plexus is defined, which means you have an emotional wave. And a lot of people with this are conditioned to shut their emotions down, to not allow their emotions to play a big part in their life. And as a child, you might have even been told, like, you're too emotional. Like, why are you always crying? Why are you always doing this? But our emotions are where our greatest lessons come from. They're our greatest teachers. That's where our wisdom comes from a human design perspective. And so when you get offered something, say it's like a new job, right? That might be like a pretty good sized rock. So it's going to create more ripples. There's going to be more time to processing the grief of like leaving your old job, processing the anxiety of potentially meeting new people. But after a couple of days, it's going to level out. And when it's level and you're at that calm, that's when you get to make the decision. Okay, so it's really about just opening up. If you can, like, start, if you don't feel connected with your emotions, start opening that. Start watching like really sad movies and allowing yourself to cry. Start watching comedies and allow yourself to feel happy and laugh. And your authority, it's just there, right? You just get to open up and allow it to communicate with you and allow it to come through and guide you. And the last thing I want to say about this is, think of it like you're in a car and you're driving. You are driving the car, And if I was to give you my address, you might could make it to me. It might would take you a year. You could probably make it from where you're at all the way to North Carolina without a GPS. There's going to be lots of twists and turns and detours, but you could do it. It's going to be hard, but you'll make it. But if you plug in your GPS and you listen to that inner guidance, it's going to give you the exits and the highways to take, the turns to make. But you still get the choice, right? You can still choose to get on the highway for 162 miles, or you can choose to take the back roads and have it take a little bit longer. Like, the point is, your authority is there for you to plug into, but you don't have to. You can choose to do it on your own. Your authority just makes life flow easily, like more easily. Obviously, we're still going to have trials and tribulations, but it helps you get from point A to point B smoother versus trying to shove like two magnets together, right? So that's what I want to say about the types and the authorities. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and it's really important to begin to open up and honor your type and your authority, because even just doing that, you're going to see mass shifts happening. And some people watching this might feel like they're already living in alignment. And if that is you, great. Let's dive deeper. Let's start talking about the centers and your gates and your gifts. But I want to leave it at that so we don't talk about and get overwhelmed. So I would love to open it up for questions. If any has questions about this specifically or anything that they've seen online.
I got a question about, so my husband and I are incredibly similar, like everything is almost the same. And then our daughter too is very similar, except she is just a generator and not a manifesting generator. Her and I, we struggle like with, like, she's like big power struggle in the way she does certain things. So do you know, like, is there anything about the difference between the manifesting generator and the generator of why she's only 6. So why there's some of those struggles?
Yeah, so I'll give you some stuff from a human design with the types, but I also would say looking into the centers, because your centers is where you take in and create your own energy. So that could also have a lot to do with it. Like if she has a defined ajna, the second triangle down, whereas maybe you and your husband have open, that could be a huge influence. But the main difference between manifesting generators and generators is that manifesting generators, they want to do lots of different things. They're kind of, like I said, hands in all the buckets. Whereas generators, they hone in and focus on one thing. And when they find that one thing that they genuinely love and are lit up about, that's what they want to spend their time and energy doing, right? So obviously, like, I don't know the full situation, but if there's a situation of she's wanting to do like this thing and do it her own way, and y'all are saying like, no, we need to be well-rounded, we need to like do all of these things, then she might feel like that's an attack on her because she knows what she wants, especially if she has a defined G center too, which is the diamond in the middle. If it's colored in, then she could know, like, this is what I want to do. I don't understand why y'all don't understand that I want this. So I think diving into the centers would be a lot more helpful than just the types.
Mhm.
But also, like, we're humans with human emotions and hormones and changes, and lots of stuff can play into it as well.
When you say the diamond in the center, is that the one off to the side of the heart?
So the diamond is in the middle. The heart is like the smaller triangle off to the side.
Oh, and mine is opposite of that. But
Right.
my husband and I, our triangle is filled in and hers is not.
Okay, so what about the diamond in the middle or wherever it is?
I don't know. Can you see that?
Okay, that one's different. So it looks like it's heart-shaped, but The heart-shaped one is actually the G center, and the little triangle
Okay.
that's white is the
Yep.
heart center, the ego. So this
Okay.
is your chart or your daughter's chart?
This is her chart. This
Okay,
is
so
my
okay,
you
so
can
you
see that.
both have the defined G center, and then she has an open heart where you have a defined heart. So you both
Mm-hmm.
have your unique life paths that you're both own. But the difference between those two with you are that you have the consistent motivation to go after it and to continue down your life path, whereas she doesn't. So she,
Okay.
and you said her type is a generator too. So
Correct.
she's not gonna feel like she wants to go and do the things every single day, right? She's not gonna feel that drive, that motivation to work on the same things in the same consistent way that you do. So I think just
Mm-hmm.
being open within reason, right? Like if it's a situation where like she doesn't want to go to school, like you kind of have to do that in today's
Right.
society. But I think kind of just being willing to be a little flexible and see how she adapts to it. Because like with us, there's four of us. Three of us are generators or mini gens, and my son is a projector. And so I have to be very cautious with him because he doesn't have the consistent energy to keep up. So I kind of give my kids a little bit more freedom within restraints, if that makes sense, where
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving them opportunities to express themselves, to do what they want, to play the games and the videos they want, but they also have limits to it. So you're giving them a little bit of freedom, but you're still guiding them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely. I noticed that when I finally just like say, okay, whatever, and let her do it her way, it doesn't take long. And she ends up doing some of the things that I was hoping she was going to do, but she had to do it her way. And then
Yeah.
she's, and it just makes it just so much better. But it's a continued practice.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like with parents, there's always that power struggle. Like, I know better than you, even though I'm only 6 or 7 or 8.
Mhm.
But if you can, like, really just, like, even with my son, like, he loves video games. Like, he will play video games. He's 4, and he will play video games 12 hours a day if I let him. But obviously, I don't want to do that. So I'm like, okay, you have 3 hours a day. This is when you can choose to play. You can choose to play between this time and this time. But that's a 9 hour period. You only have 3 hours. So you get to choose when you want to play it and what you want to play. But we also have other things that we get to do too, you know.
Mhm.
But if you want to continue and keep diving into the differences with the centers, we can totally talk about that too.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course. Was there any other question, any of it? Like any of the human design at all?
So I was like trying to come up with questions for beginners, and like I had the question if um obviously like your human design does not change throughout your life, right? It's predetermined based on your date of birth and your time of birth, right? And it's different than when we look at our astrological chart and stuff, like it's not influenced by the planets or anything like that, right?
Actually, so human design is like an onion with so many layers. So actually, if you look at your human design chart, there's 2 columns going down the side. That's all of the planets and the gates that they're in, 88 days before you're born and then at the time of your birth. So the planets are continually going through the different gates. And that does have an effect. So let me double check I'll give you an example of what the sun is in right now. And then I'll tell you kind of how that plays into it. I just want to make sure I'm telling you correctly. So okay, so right now the sun is in gate 52. And the sun moves through these gates out every 6 days. So as a collective, regardless of whether you have gate 52 defined in your chart or not, you're feeling this energy of stillness. And again, you get to choose whether to work with the energy or not. But like, this is the week, today is a good day to go inward to find your inner stillness and see what downloads and epiphanies come through for you. And so, yes, it does affect us and it does play a role in our conditioning, even. And it's also a deeper layer. So, if you don't dive into that, that's totally okay. But it is cool to see and keep up with the transits and then use it to your advantage. Like this week with the 52, I've been spending 30 minutes a day with myself in ceremony, and I feel like I have dumped timelines this week because I have been intentionally creating that space to work with the energy that the sun is in. So long story short, yes, the transits, it's not the same as astrology because it goes through the gates and the zodiac signs, but yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually so I have a membership that's $33 a month, but within that I create a transit calendar and I send them like the energy updates so they can work with it. And there's journaling prompts that you can get. But it's super cool. Like there's so many layers to human design. Like I don't even know all of it because there's so much.
Did you have any
Can I
other
ask
questions? Yep.
Yeah, I was just curious about the profile, like the 1-3, the 4-6, 2-4. How
Yeah.
much of an impact do those have on your design?
So your profile is like your personality. So it comes from your sun gates. So if you look at the two columns going down, it'll have like the little bullseye and then it'll say like for example, mine is 3.5. The 5 is the profile line, and then my unconscious is 41.1. So I'm a 5-1. And so your personality is the one, so that your number is the one that you can really see within yourself the majority of the time, unless you have some really deep conditioning around it. And the design, the one on the left hand side, the second number, this is the one that other people see in you, but you not see as much in yourself. So it's really about how you show up and the energy that you're bringing, like a deeper layer of it. And it's really important to find balance. So what did you say yours was? 1-3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so the 1 is the investigator energy. You want to learn, you want to research, you want to know all the things around the stuff that you're passionate about. And the 3 is the adventurer, the experimenter. They're very hands-on. So for you, you're really here to learn and observe and experiment to see, what doesn't work, what can we cut out to really move the collective forward. And the only way you get to do that is by researching and taking action. And the 1-3 is also more introverted. So making sure that you're spending time with yourself and not pouring yourself out. Lines 1, 2, and 3 are introverted. Lines 4, 5, and 6 are more extroverted, transpersonal. But yeah, it's really about finding that balance between reading and studying and staying still but learning, and being bold and taking the action and doing the experiment and seeing what happens. And as a line 3, you are meant to make mistakes. You're meant to fail, and that's not a bad thing. There's so much negative connotation around failing or mistakes, but that is part of your purpose here. You're meant to find out what doesn't work so that we can get to like the juicy bits of what does work.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Of course.
Awesome. Awesome. Did you have any other questions today, Katie?
Oh no, I'm good. It was good to just,
Awesome.
there's so much to it, so it's cool to
I
take it in little
know.
pieces and hear different people talk about. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely is. And I just want to recommend to everyone, like, take it slow, especially if you have that 1 in your profile and you want to dive in and learn all the things. It can get overwhelming. So just take it bit by bit, really learn and understand your type, strategy, and authority. And once you have a really good understanding and foundation with that, then get into the centers, then get into the gates and the profiles and all the extra stuff too.
Awesome. So where can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about what you do or to join your community?
So I am usually on Instagram the most at Mystica Monarch, which if you look in the links, you'll see it in the link tree. So Instagram is the best place. I'm also on Facebook, Mickeeley Brooke, or you can look up the Facebook group Discover Your Soul Self. Um, in that link tree, I also have the free cheat sheets. I have the human design readings where you get a 40 to 50 plus page PDF breaking down all of these different parts and giving you affirmations, deconditioning tips, lots and lots and lots of good, juicy information if you do want to dive deeper and really get to know your blueprint.
Awesome. And I'll drop those links in the post here when I post the replay. So all y'all watching the replay can find Mickeeley and, you know, learn more about what she does, get the cheat sheets, and find out your human design. Thank you so much, Mickeeley, for being on here with us today. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank
We'll talk
you.
soon. Bye.
Bye.